Greetings, fellow Gothamites. Tiki here,
And BlueDragonFive.
and welcome to the show where we. Oh, God, Dragon, help me! I already lost it.
The
What we got here?
episode 15,
A Fox's retelling of the Dark Knight mythology,
entitled.
entitled "The Sinking Ship: The Grand Applause." So join us as we venture into Batman's birthplace.
And explore Gotham.
Dragon, I'm going to use the Barbara Gordon excuse for this. All right, the Barbara Keene excuse. All right. I literally have a migraine. I'm not even joking with you. I've had a migraine all day. It's been killing me. So,
Are you seeing people that are dead too?
no, I'm not that far, but I'm close. I'm close. You see, folks, we rehearsed the intro before we went on air. It's like, you know what? I don't need to be looking at the intro. I can do this. I'm gonna make Dragon proud of his boy. And
Yeah, and for a moment he did, because he had it right off the bat, like he got it without any corrections, and then
then we went on air when the time came when I stepped up to the plate. It was just just the sinking ship, you know. Well, hopefully we get a grand applause by the end of the episode. Dragon, you want to jump right into this episode?
Yeah, sure. So I mean, right off the bat, I really love it. I'm excited to talk about this episode. So we open the episode with
Mark. I don't think I'm quite as high on it as you. I think it's very good. I don't think it's the best of the season or anything. It sets things in place quite well.
All right. Okay, so we open the episode with Martine. You know, hey, remember that kid, Martine, Penguin's little protege, his little buddy. So Martine, he's in
Detective Comics reference.
Yes, issue 14 of Detective Comics, way before Batman, a little before Batman came around, because you know he's in Detective 27. It's back when the book actually was the company's name for a time.
So he's reading off a little notepad with notes that have been written to him, like, "Hey, want to escape?"
Yeah, so again, Martine's he's in the safe house that basically Penguin doesn't know where Martine is, which is why he's playing it kind of quiet in Arkham. He's just kind of not making any waves because he doesn't want to break out and have Sophia, who knows where the kid is, like kill him off. This is the leverage that Sophia has on the Penguin. That's why his opening's really kind of integral to the whole kind of like get Cobblepot kind of plot line. So he discovers a message in the notepad and their instructions within the pad. And again, if anyone's questioning, like, why is it there? So someone's like switched it out like the beginning of the day, or like while they're all sleeping.
I was kind of wondering that, but you know what? I give it a pass.
Yeah, you know, it's very simple. Someone just switched, like, gave him an identical pad. It's it's fine. I wrote it down on his pad while he was sleeping. It's
right.
Anyway, so basically the streamline here is basically their instructions in the pad, mainly to turn on the gas and plug your ears. And as he does that, and all the guys got to go check out the gas leak. Boom! Rocket launcher, big explosion. Bing, bang, boom.
What's that mean?
Awesome entrance for the Riddler. And my God, I got to tell you, Corey Michael Smith, I think he's killing it as the Riddler again. He's doing next. Now, this is the Riddler I was missing. Like, not the whole, like, hey, I'm going to hire someone I'm going to hire, like, a convoluted toy thing that does not reek of the Riddler at all like a Toy Man parody to kill Leslie Tompkins. None of that weak sauce. This is all classic Riddlers. Walks in, he's owning the room, he's in the green suit and everything. I'm here on behalf of Uncle Penguin. Let's get some ice cream.
Yeah.
He's so friendly too. It's adorable.
Well, he's like a friendly uncle, you know. He definitely it's like him and Penguin could raise this kid together, you know, and they'd be like the world's best co-dads.
Now, there's a spinoff I'd love to see, Tiki.
My two villain dads.
My two crazy dads.
Also, I would wager to say it's probably the best cold open of the season.
You know, based on our definitions of what a good cold open is, like that one scene in Bam, you're right about that then.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now one of our other favorites.
Bam. Let's get into Samson because he's gonna get smashed by the end of the episode.
Yes, he's gonna get hammered because of his victory, I'm sure. So, sorry, there's an added pun in there. I just noticed. So Samson, by the way, kind of our little in joke, because we have whenever in Gotham when we see kind of the poor children of the Narrows, kind of these street urchins, they're the underdwellers. And Samson, when he was first introduced, he basically had like a little section where he just sat and ate and drank all day, and he never was bothered to move. And he was
Boss Biggs.
Boss Biggs from the Forgotten. So
The,
basically,
I mean,
Sam,
the best Batman villain of all time. How can anyone dispute that?
he said facetiously. So Samson's back, and he's making a point. He's working on behalf of Sophia. They oust Leslie last episode. Kind of clawed her. Well, they didn't claw. They beat her. Beat her hand really badly. Poor Miranda Baccarin. And Samson's basically enforcing the tax that Sophia is kind of putting upon the land of the Narrows here, where he's very violently collecting his tax and showing what happens to anyone who is any of the debtors who are not paying the tax. And this father and his wife and daughter watching in horror as the father is beaten mercilessly as an example in front of everyone. And what happens to this poor guy, Tiki?
Do I look like an animal to you? I wouldn't hurt your family if you don't pay.
Bam! Shoots him right in the head.
You know what that kind of reminds me of, Dragon?
What?
Kind of reminds me of the bit in Black Panther of
Oh!
Hey, yeah, buddy, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I'm gonna let you go.
It's not as great as that, but I see
no,
I see where
it's kind of in the same vein of like a fake out, like, oh, I'm not gonna kill you. Never mind. Yes, I am.
Yeah, so Lee's watching in horror, and again, classically, Leslie Tompkins, she's a champion for kind of the Park Rose / kind of the downtrodden of Gotham section. So she's very much a champion of the Narrows, and she's been knocked off her perch. And I love that she wants to be back on top, not for like a power thing, but so she can protect the people of the Narrows. So she's definitely infuriated by this, and she wants to be very proactive. So again, top marks on what we do with Lee this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and we go to the GCPD, and I love visually that we're showing Gordon we're framing Gordon in his office really nicely, just to show he's very kind of he's kind of tailor made for the captain job, which of course adds to the guilt that is kind of swirling in Gordon's head this episode, and definitely by the end. So I like that we're showing the office
to a quiet but really satisfying resolution to Gordon and Bullock's dynamic in this episode.
I love what we do.
Like it's pretty well earned.
Yeah, I mean, I love where we go with Jim's story in this. I really do, in the context of the show and context of the season and everything. We'll get there, but we're at the very top of it here. So, Jim and Bullock, there's kind of strategizing because Jim was very fire and brimstone. Yeah, we gotta get Sophia Falcone, and they're strategizing how the heck are they going to do that? Because right now, if Jim goes forward with his role in the pig of it all, it's just his word against hers, and it won't take her down at all. And well, Jim and Bullock are working together. Bullock, and the fascinating thing with Bullock in this whole episode, which we get in a really excellent scene in the middle of the episode, is that Bullock, you get a sense he's really been let down by his hero and Jim, because the whole show is kind of built upon Bullock, kind of coming around the bend, and like he was a guy who was crooked for survival's sake, who kind of came around the bend by Jim Gordon's very holier than now, the very the incorruptible mentality that you can clean up the GCPD, and kind of inspired Bullock. And now learning that Jim kind of entered this, he had this deal with the devil with Sophia, and he was implicit on really letting him down here. He's been really, he's kind of crestfallen with Jim. He's really not trusting him as much as he used to. But they're on working terms.
Well, in fiction, one of my favorite devices is when you take two characters and you take their place in life and their philosophy, and you basically switch it around. And I think the show's done a really good job from season 1 to season 4 with Bullock and Jim, where Bullock, Gordon definitely feels guilty about what he's done, but I would say that Bullock is probably the more morally upstanding out of the two of them.
I know, it's fascinating how far around the bend we've gotten with that. And, Jim, he swears to Jim. Of course, Bullock had a line at the very beginning of the series. There's always definitely at the beginning of the season, there's always the bill comes due in Gotham. Nothing is free in Gotham. There's always a price. And he swears to Jim at the beginning of this episode that he's going to pay for what he's done after they take down Sophia Falcone. We'll definitely
kind of just assume that he's going to be like, I'm going to make sure that you confess, Jim. You owe it to the public. You owe it to Gotham.
Exactly. That's what we assume, and we're going to see kind of a good arc on that and see where that goes. Yeah. Also, just in plot wise, Bullock, he brings up he has a lead on a connection, a past contact that he knows. Yes, the Scandinavian Skinner.
No, not the sub-villain from Dexter season 4 that no one remembers.
My God, that guy was... I'm sorry, now you're bringing up the Skinner from Dexter. You're absolutely that Skinner, really, he was just so, again, it was all about...
I mean, he just stood in the shadow of freaking...
Jimmy Schmitz. It was all Jimmy Schmitz in that. It was all Miguel in that season, and we just...
Oh wait, you're right. You're right. It was season 3, not season 4. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, remember David Ramsey's got skinned by the Skinner. You know, Diggle himself got skinned by the
Oh
Skinner.
God.
Okay, anyway, I'm back on point.
Meanwhile, at Wayne Manor.
Yes. Bruce discovers Selina rooting around Wayne Manor.
Looking for food.
Yeah, looking just kind of scrounging for food. And again, Bruce kind of he's still getting used to Alfred coming back, so he still has like all this. Basically, it's probably was more booze, less food at the manor for a while because Alfred probably did all the grocery shopping. So now that Alfred's back, he's probably out grocery shopping right now.
Yeah, Alfred does get an episode off, which is rare.
Yeah, I assume he's just doing butlery stuff in this episode, but that's just that's my headcanon. Anyway, so Selina's by the manor for a specific reason. What is that reason?
Well, she's feeling guilty about what she stole the night that Ivy murdered the family man.
Roland Charles.
Yes, Roland Charles.
The other Roland.
Yes, yes.
Yes, he needs money to get something from a fence that she basically she stole jewelry from.
With the other family man that we know and love, Dragon, Survivor First Boot, John Raymond.
Anyway, everybody loves Raymond.
Deep pool defenders reference there. Anyways.
Okay. Anyway, let's see. So, yes, you're right. So he's guilty. So she's guilty over stealing from Roland Charles's family. While again, unbeknownst to her, Ivy was going to kill Roland Charles, and she's trying to make amends for like kind of the people she was kind of by proxy guilty of killing along with Ivy. So I love the growth in actors in this scene because Bruce and Selina, they've come a long way this season, seeing kind of reunited again. That's kind of it's a lot of people would say this is a filler episode for Bruce. I don't think so. I think it's a good.
I don't think filler's the right word. I just think it's kind of like we don't really get a ton of Bruce.
Yeah, well, I mean, just the whole, like, kind of doing like a little side story. I think it's a nice little side story with Bruce and Selina just kind of showing their growth. It's more of a character piece, it's less than like a plot thing.
Character piece is the right word for it, for sure.
I just love, I love the quiet dimension of Bruce. Like, Bruce, after his big kind of this arc with, the vision of Batman, and now Alfred's kind of reined him in. Basically, the two big episodes we had, we've passed already. I love just kind of the quiet to me. Like again, David Mazouz, now that he's kind of gotten all the Playboy Bruce Wayne out of his system, now he's kind of back to classic. It's a Bruce Wayne closer to Batman than he's ever been before, and I love that you can read that he's starting to figure out Selina in this scene. I love that you can see he's on the path of it, and it's like, look, you're going to help me or you're not? He says, oh yeah, I'll help you. Let me get some money. We'll go.
Yeah, I like that. I like that he knows that cash isn't really the reason why Selina's coming to him. He kind of sees through that.
And he offers oatmeal cookies.
Pleasantries, Dragon. Goddamn pleasantries.
Oh my God, there are so many pleasantries in this episode. All right. So, meanwhile,
Harriet would be proud, Dragon. He'd be proud of his brother.
God.
Or proud of my past self. I don't know. How would you phrase that?
Proud of me, young. Yes, I'm proud of me.
All right. This is going off the rails. Anyway.
Well, you started it.
I know I started it, but let's...
Anyway, so we're going to Arkham. No, not because we're crazy, because the episode goes there next. An Arkham guard, he delivers a riddle, basically a riddle message in the form of a punch. It's a funny gag where I love this. Again, it's completely unnecessary, but it's just so fun. It's so great that the guard delivers the riddle to Penguin.
I can lend you a hand, but you won't find me helpful.
Knuckle sandwich. Says, yeah, I just love I'm so entertained by the guard just like giving like props for like, yeah, it is that you solved the riddle, and of course realizing his role eventually just
here's your prize.
Big old punch in the face that transitions to the next scene. Next scene, Skinner.
Who can cut your face off?
The Skinner Man can. Well, it's not the Skinner Man. That's Dexter. But no, the Scandinavian Skinner is not as terrifying as you'd think, but more terrifying in concept. The Scandinavian Skinner is this old woman who owns a candy shop.
Grandmother who runs a candy shop.
An old Scandinavian lady who runs a candy shop with her family. Yep. So I love the history. I love the history of the Skinner here with it's more history in Gotham with our assassins and with our killers, and it adds dimension to them. Where we see like one of Falcone's retired killers is kind of running this humble mom and pop candy shop.
You know, she's doing what she can for the family life late in life.
And based on what we see in this scene, I would infer that I think Falcone trusted her and hired her because of her devotion to her family. Because again, we see she's looking out for her family. Because get this really cool, tense moment where Bullock to get answers from her. I love that we established that Bullock and her have a past. That basically Bullock.
Hey kids, want to hear a really fun story?
Of course, like she's reaching for a knife, and then he's about to tell the he's about to tell.
He just casually waves him off. He's just like, never mind.
Yeah. So Bullock's trying to blackmail her, which gets definitely gets some information. And again, I love the history that Bullock sent her to a Russian gulag for 4 years. It's just it's a great can't get enough of the sense of history in Gotham and with episodes like these. And so yes, he finds there. He learns who Falcone's informant was. Like who would have information they could use against Sophia, and they learned that it is a familiar face from this season. Who is it, Tiki?
It's Sean Penn.
Wrong Penn, Tiki.
It's Mr. Penn.
There we go. Yes, it's Mr. Penn, who has vanished for all intents and purposes, which I'm surprised he lived, because it looked like he was... We have two characters this episode.
Kind of wondering about that at the end of the mid-season.
He was getting tortured last time we saw him, and we never saw him again, so we assumed that Penn was, he might have been killed off. We have another character who, amazing... We have three characters... I'm sorry, I'm realizing now we have three characters in this...
Jump the gun on that. We'll get there, Dragon.
We have at least three characters who amazingly have survived in this season.
Oh, I did. Trust me, the last one I have words for.
Oh yeah, the middle one's the fun one.
Yes.
Okay, anyway, so we're getting there. So okay, so Mr. Penn, he's on the board. He's kind of the MacGuffin of the episode. We need Mr. Penn. Everything hinges on Mr. Penn. Mm-hmm. So Sophia, she is not happy about Martine gone. She's thrown.
Not at Dragon. I feel like this is the episode that clinched it for me. This is the episode that, regardless of the ridiculous direction we go with her towards the end, this is where Sophia Falcone becomes Long Halloween Sophia Falcone.
Oh, yeah. Most definitely.
It's beautiful. It's great. It's one of the highlights of the whole season for me, I think.
Well, again, we build to actually my favorite part of the episode is the most long Halloween we get with her. So that's my favorite part of the episode later on. So it's, oh boy, I can't wait to get there. So it's, so yeah, so
I remember early on in the season, I was like, yeah, this woman, she's a good actress. She's kind of nailing the role. I don't really feel intimidated by her the same way that I feel intimidated by comic book Sophia Falcone. This episode switches it around. It's like, no, like she's full on badass head bitch in charge mode.
Oh yeah. So now with Martine gone, they have no leverage, which basically, she's given the order, okay, go to Arkham, kill the Penguin, all right? I want them screwing all my organizations up here, okay? Just kill the Penguin. She tells this to Zaz, and Zaz, Tiki, what does Zaz ask?
Oh, God, you tell him.
So Victor Zaz is asking, again, because he's a nice guy, he's asking very pleasantly, saying, hey, a buddy of mine, he just got out of the hospital. Can he come along? It's like he's asking if you have like a friend over for dinner or something. And we reveal who that friend is, and this is amazing. This is the middle one I was talking about, folks. Here, we reveal it's Headhunter.
Yep, Dragon. You can imagine my surprise and delight when this was kind of like okay, this makes absolutely no sense in the context of the plot, but you know what? This guy was so much fun that I'm glad he's back. I don't care.
Okay, brief refresher on Headhunters to establish why this is unprecedented.
I barely even remember like the context in which he died. I just remember he was a lot of fun.
Yeah, you're right, dude. So again, Headhunter is a lot of fun. The thing I always loved about Headhunter is, again, he is remarkably faithful to his comic adaptation, by the way. I mean, he was hired. He was like a hired hitman to go after Jim Gordon in the comics. So he did have the Gordon connection, which I really loved. And he does have, like, he wears all the leather. He has, like, kind of the X on it, like, kind of the X with the he has the ammo here, but he had, like a vest or something that made the X in the comic. And he has, like, the mohawk. He has, like, the little painted skull thing on his cheeks. I mean, he is remarkably, like, per the comic. And now he's come back with, like, a little eye patch because last time we saw him, he basically referenced Jim Gordon while the Penguin was very irritable. And Penguin... He stabbed him twice because the headhunter's gimmick was that he shoots twice. It's my signature. And Penguin, at the mention of Jim Gordon, he stabbed him in the eye first, which is why he's the eye patch. And then he's, again, very brutally in the eye, which makes me really question his survival. And then he stabs him in the stomach, like in the side, really, and that's my signature. And he walks off. And I rewatched it just to make sure, like, it wasn't crazy. I mean, he doesn't. Here's the thing: he doesn't die, but he is severely hurt and he is severely bleeding. I'm amazed that he's alive, and I think the reference to the hospital team.
I mean, honestly, I can buy him being alive more than the other person who's going to be alive in this episode.
Well, yeah, sure. That's also a funny thing we'll get to. I might refresh you on with that whole thing later on. But anyway, this here, I love we had the fourth wall gag with that hospital reference of. That's them addressing that. Yeah, we know this guy is. There's no reason this guy should be alive, and a part of me wonders if they did this with the headhunter so they could get away with the thing later on. Maybe that's why. I think that's why they probably brought headhunter back.
I could see that. I could also just see them, like, the headhunter just being a really popular one-off character with fans and then being like, oh man, this guy was so much fun. We need him back.
We loved him. I love him as Zaz's sidekick. I'm jazzed. I'm so jazzed in my mind we have the headhunter back. I love it.
Yeah, he should be a fun side character moving forward.
All right, so hopefully they won't kill him off again, or at least not for a long while.
All right, so meanwhile, Bullock's paying Oswald a visit in Arkham.
Asking about Mr. Penn, and while he's doing that, he is interrupted by Zaz and the headhunter.
God.
Then again, Zaz is making conversation, and he was saying, oh, Bullock, I thought you were a cop again? Oh, I guess it didn't take. Huh. Remember, this is great. We actually, I don't know if you noticed, I never looked this up, so when the episode, I assume they're pulling this from the comics, but there's a chance they might just made it up because it's funny. He says, hey, you remember Wendell? Apparently, Headhunter's name is Wendell.
Which is great.
It's hysterical.
It reminds me of the guy on the Captain Crunch box.
Of course, Tiki, when he said his name is
Wendell. Not the Captain Crunch box, I'm sorry, the Cinnamon Toast Crunch box dragon, Chef Wendell, anyways.
Well, the thing I'm thinking of, whenever I hear Wendell, Tiki, I'm thinking of the Freakazoid line. They called me mad. They called me Wendell.
God.
That's what I'm thinking of when they say Wendell. It's just it's funny. Anyway. So, and also the cool thing with the Headhunter is his guns have laser sights, which is like the guy has this added cool cheese about him. That's just I don't know, it's ridiculous, but it's fun.
Oh, he fits right at home with the over the top qualities of the show. I mean, he's very much kind of like Dark Schumacher Batman in a way.
No way. I mean, he isn't all leather after all. Says, we're not leaving without the Penguin. So Bullock, let's see, he turns down the live to get drunk another day offer by Zaz, and as they're kind of having a little standoff here, at Arkham, the alarms go off as we see the Penguin escape. They kind of, as they flee, Bullock spies out the window, Enigma leaving with the Penguin, so he knows, okay, Enigma's broken out the Penguin.
I love how Enigma in the Riddler suit is become so fully realized at this point that we can see him from a window and just know instantly in profile that it's him. It's really, they've gotten to the iconic look in the comics. They've really, I love the gradual progression on that look.
The only thing, again, Tiki, like the last thing in the coffin, that like the last nail in the coffin we really need to close the deal in the Riddler. And I hope I really want them to do it. If not the end of this season, I really want them to do it next season. Give him the cane. That's the last thing he
cane. Yeah.
And according to Michael Smith is begging for the cane. He wants it so bad. So that's gonna be good.
Meanwhile, Bruce and Selina are off in some shady pawn shop.
Yeah, and this is I really love this with the story. It's like a classic Batman Catwoman team up. With them kind of teaming up, their goals have aligned. They're kind of going on a little adventure, and we're doing that with Bruce and Selina here. It feels just so classic Batman Catwoman working it. It feels like the Telltale games.
In a way, I could see that.
So, and what I love here, I love what Bruce and Selina are doing here. Again, while they're still young, there is a bit of that charm, if not kind of like that in the future will be that seduction of like kind of the whole Catwoman Batman thing, where she's like, they're kind of apologizing without saying it to each other. Like Bruce wants to apologize, she's kind of saying, "Save it." So, "Oh, you'll be a douchebag to me again, don't worry." And it's like, "I missed you too, Selina." It's like, oh, like all of it's right there, Tiki. It's like, yeah, these guys are perfect for the roles. And yeah, every time I see it, even in since we've come back from the break on these guys, it's Carmen Bayacandova, the actress who portrays Selina. She's just. like the more time she gets with Selene, the more she develops her. I'm very, very
You
satisfied
mean
with it.
more screen time than the episode where she was introduced and it was named after her, yet she was barely in the episode?
Yes, Tiki, more
More
time than
screen
that.
time than that?
Yes.
All right, I'm sorry.
Anyway, so yes, they're at kind of a skeevy pawn shop, and basically they're Selena's asking for for the stuff she stole back, and then unfortunately, and this is classic Catwoman, classic. So it's something I could buy from a young, inexperienced Catwoman, where she's saying that. Well, where we reveal that she tried to steal it and she was caught on security tape. It's like, again, such an amateur mistake that Catwoman would never make, and now she's just, Batman, and Bruce is kind of seeing like a Batman. Oh, that's why I'm here, right? Because you screwed the pooch on this one. That's why I'm here.
Right, right.
So basically, Bruce is offering to pay double. The guy's not taking it because he has the idea of like, okay, how's this sound? We take your money and we get to keep the stuff. We get to keep the stuff that you stole. And I love that when Selena calls Bruce a douchebag, it's a signal like, hey, we're gonna be fighting these guys. And of course, the minute he says,
And you're right, Dragon. This is absolutely like a telltale Batman moment right here with the fight that breaks out.
Oh yeah, so it's great. It's a cool team up. It's a cool like little fight here. I love that. I love the little details here. If you're in a pawn shop, we're really using the location that he's using. He's using an
like antique handgun.
Yeah, and he's like loading the antique handgun, and and again, Bruce is really, he's taking some names, he's kicking his butt, taking some names, and here's the bit that really is awesome. It's just showing like how far we've gone with these two characters. Bruce, for one, I love that in his Bruce Wayne guise, he's still wearing like the long black overcoat, again emulating a cape somewhat.
Mm-hmm.
Selene, she uses the whip, like right at like that moment with the whip, where she basically takes the guy's gun, like points it towards the ceiling to avoid hitting Bruce. And Bruce kind of walks up and basically kind of punches him out after saying, "Next time, take the deal." Bam! Tosses him the money and they get out of there. It's like, I love he tosses the money on the way out. It's like a rich Indiana Jones move.
All right, so Riddler and the Penguin are out on the streets. Penguin's asking about Martine. Let me just say, props to Robin Lord Taylor and Corey Michael Smith because they both do a fantastic job reuniting this episode. Robin Lord Taylor in particular is just so unhinged and out of control this episode. You just really feel the desperation in him to not go back to Arkham,
Oh, yeah. I love what he's wearing, too. Later on, there's a scene where he looks so much like he channels the animalistic side of the Penguin. He channels that kind of
he really does this episode.
In a later scene, he really he channels kind of the DeVito Penguin, like at its core. It's like, yeah, that's the animalistic Penguin. We rarely see these days, but at times you will see. So it's a nice little walk and talk scene.
Let's not forget Oswald Cobblepot has come a long way from killing a man for a sandwich.
Oh yeah.
All right.
So let's see. I love this bit.
Riddler describes Martine as being snug as a bug in a rug.
Yeah.
That's just really good wordplay on Riddler's part.
So Riddler, I love this bit where this speaks to this says everything we need to say about Riddler and the Penguin working together and their friendship. And I love this scene. You can take this out of context, just see the brilliance of this scene where Riddler wants to share his brilliant plan. I don't know if you caught this, Steve, because it's hilarious that how he get the kid away. Where essentially, the way he says that they involved Victor Zsasz, and basically he distracted Victor Zsasz by using a disco ball and pretending to be a Polish woman with a pregnant Polish woman using a disco ball. And as he's getting into this convoluted Riddler, only a Riddler could pull this off type plan.
Penguin's like, perhaps another time, Ed. We need to worry about Martine.
Yes, I love that. It just speaks to their like Riddler had this whole convoluted, brilliant scheme, so he's just eager to talk about it. And the Penguin's saying, "Okay, that's good for you, not right now." Okay, let's see. So, Martine's safe. They need a power base so they can strategize how to take down Sophia, and basically have like a power. But they need some muscle. They need something they can use to kind of go. You basically need like a mini army, so to speak, to take down Sophia. So they're imagining, and I love this on a rewatch that Nigma's he's removing his gloves and his hat so he can look more and more like Edward Nygma versus the Riddler to kind of try to work Leslie here. So we reveal they've gone to the Narrows. He pretends to be Nygma for a moment, and he's basically checking in.
The trickiness of this Nygma versus Riddler thing is kind of throwing me off, but I'm trying to go with it. So basically he's kind of stuck in Enigma mode right now, right? Or I'm sorry, stuck in Riddler mode.
He's
Hotel.
yeah. Essentially, for all intents and purposes, I mean, unless I don't see any signs of him not being the Riddler so far. I think he's going to be stuck on the Riddler till the end at this point, but you never know. He's Riddler pretending to be Enigma to manipulate Lee in this moment here, where that's why he took off the gloves and the hat and everything. He's just checking in on Lee, and basically the second this is a Riddler bit. The second that he learns that she is no longer the boss of the Narrows, he says, "Okay, she can't help us. Come on,
all right, never mind, Oswald. Pack up shop. Plan B."
He just comes in and basically, you get to see like a little sad bit of Lee, like, what do you mean? She realized Riddler. It says, "Yep, how you doing, Lee?" So now I love what we're doing with this Lee stuff here. Lee's just kind of now along for the ride because whatever it takes to kind of help the Narrows, like she's game for. Like, okay, guys, like we gotta get,
which is very much like in tune with her comic book origins. You know, it's like it's not an exact like beat by beat replication of her character, but I like how the ingredients are there.
Yeah, and she's very amenable. She's very like, okay, well, whatever it's going to take to get Sophia out of power and get the Narrows kind of back into a productive place. I'm game for anything. I can still help. Oh, you can't help, Lee. Come on. So then they're crafting a plan. Enigma's big plan. Do you remember what Enigma's big plan is?
Yeah. It's basically the well, they call it the Trojan horse plan. I call it the Han Solo plan.
Yeah.
Essentially, they're going to have Victor freeze freeze Oswald and deliver it as a trophy to Sophia.
Now, Tiki, this is such a brilliant Riddler plan because one, on some level, it's him getting revenge on the Penguin. Yes. But again, they are in kind of that they're working together, and we're going to see the friendship like reveal itself as it goes forward. And I still think the friendship's there at this point, but even if it's not, it's like Riddler's ego is still kind of present there. Like, hey, I still got to get the last laugh on this guy while I'm planning. Again, it is a smart plan. It is going to help us, but at the same time, I kind of get my licks in while we're at it.
Mm-hmm.
So, Penguin is very against that plan. He's not a fan of the whole getting himself frozen plan. Lee reminds him, we still have Grundy. We could use that guy.
Or so he thinks.
So he thinks. And again, I love how we built this up and like we, the audience, know something the Riddler doesn't. You're like, oh, okay, Riddler's going to be in for a rude awakening. So, and I take it, I think they wrote this the best way they could, and I love it. How we handled the whole Grundy thing. We didn't drag it out. We did like in a perfect line in this scene. So basically, Riddler's going down there. He's super cocky and super arrogant as he's going
big
down.
Old best pal Enigma.
Yep, and again, he thinks that Butch. He thinks Grundy's is still like slow, so he thinks he's like dumb as a post, so he doesn't even have to put on an act like he did with Lee. He's just gonna like try to. It's very transparently the Riddler, and we reveal Butch, and we have these great POV cuts, like we cut from Butch to Enigma's perspective of this thing. Basically, he grabs him, throws him against the wall, and then he puts it together like, "Oh no, you're back." Like, hey, you're not the only one who got smart again. And this is the line where I think they handled it perfectly. Tiki is everything I wanted them to do with this, where we acknowledge the friendship that Grundy did forge with Ed Enigma. And I love that we didn't just sweep that under the rug and didn't just turn it like, oh, I'm mad at you now. No, like we acknowledged.
Exactly what I was worried about when we were going back to Grundy turning back into Butch. I was like, well, I'm happy to have Butch back, but at the same time, I kind of enjoyed this adorable friendship they had going on. So,
and I love that we didn't kill that
compromise, like right in the middle.
It's where he says, hey, Ed's Grundy's friend. Remember? Yeah, Ed's Grundy's friend. And I'm not Ed. You're not Ed, and I'm not Grundy. That's great.
Yeah, good stuff.
So let's see, following scene. So Lee and the Penguin, they want Penguin's really eager for Sophia Falcone revenge. Penguin can't.
This is where pretty much every scene after this that Robin Lord Taylor is in, he just gets more and more and more manic.
Oh, yeah. I love the scene later. The one I'm referring to is a little later on, but this is great too. I love this. This scene's great though. I do love this scene. So basically, he leaves and he's walking on the streets, and we cut to. I love the timing on this and everything. So Jim and Bullock, they're walking. It's not a joke. They're walking down the street. And this scene is so well written here, where Bullock says, "Oh, it's such a fourth wall thing too, for because Bullock is kind of speaking to the Gotham formula a little bit here." And I love
I have it.
okay, go on. What does he say? What does he say?
It's always like, find Lee, and then she'll point us to Ed, and then we'll find the Penguin, and then he'll tell us where to find the Penguin. And you're right, Dragon. It is absolutely fourth wall. I don't think even fourth wall just to Gotham. I think it's fourth wall to procedural shows in general. And I think it's kind of something that Gotham at its best steps away from. But you're right. It can kind of speak to the convoluted nature of this show at points.
Yeah. And then basically they're walking down the street, and then Jim just kind of answers.
Literally, like Gordon and Bullock are having a fourth wall conversation about the very nature of the show that they're in.
And then Jim says, or we could just ask Oswald himself. And they look down.
Because the writers apparently wrote him to be walking down the street. Thanks, writers.
Well, again, they are in the same location. It makes sense. Because, again, they know where Lee is. Again, by proxy, if he walks out of the scene with Lee, then... Right. So they realize they're on the same... They look, basically, they're eye to eye, like, down the street. And it's great. So then I love Penguin's. So yes, the Robin Lord Terror playing desperation very well. He just kind of grabs like a wine-nosed bottle and he breaks it. And now he's like, "I'm not going back to Arkham," because again, and I love that. And I loved how this scene is. You do feel a little sympathy for Penguin because we know, and as Penguin says to Jim Gordon, and I think this rings true with Jim, is that they both know that Penguin was sent to Arkham on trumped-up charges.
Mm-hmm.
That again, like Jim knew that there was a good chance that he was telling the truth, that Martine was safe, and then basically Victor double-crossed him. And Jim used this as an excuse to put the Penguin away, per Bullock's advice. And I love that Jim is really, he feels, I got a sense that he feels a twinge remorseful about that here. Again, with Bullock kind of weighing on the consequences of the Sophia Falcone thing, I think Jim's ethics are coming back this episode, and he's definitely paying the price for it here and there. And so I just love how this scene's played between Mackenzie.
I really enjoy the fact that this calls to mind this show at its best, Dragon, when it comes down to kind of the twisted, reluctant friendship between Gordon and Cobblepot.
I know, and this scene play. I can't get enough of these scenes, and I love how we play it here. Where
like Gordon just has such a pity for Oswald in this moment. He's just like, you know, this guy is a lunatic. He's cost me a lot, but deep down, there is something in me that kind of looks at him as kind of like a wayward little brother.
Yeah, I mean, at its core, and I've said this since the beginning, anything the Penguin does is on Jim because Jim saved his life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And again, you can look
at how the show sticks to that.
Yes, again, it's the again, Tiki. Ever since that was the hook of the show, the fact that Gordon, didn't kill the Penguin, but he found like another solution. That was always like the big, like if people weren't digging the pilot, that ending kind of linked people in, so they have to go back to that. Mm-hmm. So Jim and the Penguin, they both again, the way Ben McKenzie's kind of like talking the Penguin down here is fantastic because he basically assures that the kid's safe. He's Martine's safe, and. Jim and Penguin, they both want Sophia gone. Penguin wants to kill her. Jim wants to put her behind bars. And this bit here, Robin Lord Taylor, I love it when Penguin, I love when Robin Lord Taylor freaks out like this. I really do. It cracks me up, and it's just so fun where he loses his cool like this. Where they ask about Mr. Penn, and he puts two and two together in this moment. You're like, oh, little weasel. He's so angry. So again, just seeing how unstable and how manic Penguin is. Again, after his tenure in Arkham, especially, Jim realizing, okay, after going to Arkham, he's gonna be. I gotta talk him down. I gotta be all calm and everything with him. Mm-hmm. Where he basically offers to let Oswald walk. And again, in part because he knows that he was there for false pretenses. And again, I'm on Jim's side on this in this scene right here. Because Penguin did go away for a false reason, and I think deep down at the core, Jim knows, that's not, I gotta get him what he actually did. I can't just put him away for something else. I know he deserves it, but it's not right. So that's why he's willing to let him walk away. Plus, he'll do something bad, we'll put him away another day. That's kind of what his thought process is, and makes sense. And traditionally, Bullock would be all for that plan. So it's a police officer's discretion. Like sometimes you let him go, to catch the bigger fish.
Right.
And so again, like Jim makes his offer, let you tell me where Penn is, and you can walk away. No problems. No, you don't go back to Arkham. And Bullock reminds him, like, hey, Zaz and Headhunter are after you, so might as well work with us in your best interest. And he basically mentions the spa, which we're going to go to later. Gives him the location that Mr. Penn's at. Then this is beautiful bit, and I love this bit so much, where Jim, he takes a moment after they get the information. The Penguin looks like they're about to walk off. Jim, he thanks Penguin, and he shakes his hand. I love that bit so much. And that's the moment that speaks to that underlining friendship and like that appreciation deep down,
And I also feel like it's the moment that really triggers Bullock too, because Bullock, as we see, kind of springs to action, like handcuffing Oswald.
He literally takes advantage of this pleasantry in the moment here, where Bullock he arrests the Penguin with the arm extended, and again Penguin's saying, "You lied to me," he's basically thinking like, you said all I knew was a lie. And then again we see in this moment Jim had every intention of letting him go, again for the reasons kind of stated before. And Bullock says, "Look, if you want to let him go, Jim, that's on you, but me, I ain't letting him go." And that's speaking of two things. One, it's like a technicality of like, hey, we can stop Penn and get the Penguin because you made your promise. I never promised anything, so I can still arrest them, which again is another way they could go with the scene. But I think what it really is Bullock taking the moral high ground to kind of air out, his hero.
I was speaking to earlier about how much they've kind of changed roles, the two of them.
And again, like this is such a, you're right, T, it's such a reversal of like where we were in season 1 with this here. And again, I love that it's kind of Bullock kind of airing out to his hero that he's been let down by him too, of just like saying, you let me down, and you're still looks like you're not learning your lesson with Sophia. I'm going to take him in. I'm going to act like you for a change. See how you like it.
Mm-hmm.
I remind you of who you are, hopefully, so you can kind of do the right thing. Again, nothing Jim can do will satisfy Bullock. That's kind of it's like a futile show-offsmanship here.
Yeah.
So as they're, they arrest the Penguin, they put him in the car, and as they're doing that, guess who else walks around the corner? It's the Hardy Boys, Zaz, and the Headhunter.
God, everyone's just in the neighborhood today, Dragon.
Beautiful day in the neighborhood, Tiki.
Yep.
So, and this is hilarious, by the way. So they arrive, and the head.
You remember me?
I just love that because again, literally the guy who stabbed and almost killed you. It's like, hey, remember me? So and importantly they hear that Penn's important, and of course that's gonna definitely put them on the scent of, okay, we're directly going after Penn, not just the Penguin anymore. Mm-hmm. And I love that Zaz says, "Oh yeah, I recognize that look. That's Jim's yes face." So this leads to a firefight. During the chaos, Lee takes the car with the Penguin in it. It's again very proactive role. Just people, again, more people stealing Bullock's car, by the way. It's like a lot of people have carjacked Bullock in this show. Fun fact. So yeah, then we're at the chaos. Everyone's kind of left the scene. Now it's kind of a race to get to Mr. Penn. So what's happening at the Sirens Club, Tiki?
Well, Barbara is suffering a migraine, and Dragon, I can just say I relate to Barbara so much in this episode. Anytime a migraine is a plot point, I suffer from migraines myself. So I feel you, Babs. I feel you.
Let's see. So Butch, he delivers Riddler. He delivers Riddler to Tabitha, and I love this bit because we acknowledge again. Now this is important. Again, kind of a reminder that ties into our ridiculous thing at the end here. That remember, Barbara shot Butch in the head, which put him into a coma.
Mm-hmm.
It's important, and I think they remind us of that here is for that specific reason. And I love that Barbara arms herself with a corkscrew in the moment, and Butch is just saying, "Scary." Just realize, come on, I want to have like a swamp healing factor here, and secondly, come on, a corkscrew. So Butch, he's trying to find a cure. He's trying to basically, for all the terrible stuff the Riddler did to them, he wants to kind of give Tabitha the opportunity to do what she will with the Riddler. And he's trying to find a cure, so they still can't be happy. They can't live happily ever after in Gotham quite. Yeah, he's going to try to figure himself out. Then he'll come back to her.
He's kind of got like a Phantom of the Opera complex going on.
Certainly. Also, kind of a vague Clayface of it all too. Kind of a little bit of a Clayface. Like there are other examples too, like other villains, like always searching for a cure. That sort of.
As this is going on, I love how the Riddler is just kind of like reacting to the situation on the fly on the floor.
Yeah. So Barbara's in bad shape, as we see. Again, she's a
Yeah, like
bad.
I said, Dragon, I just my sympathy goes out to her. I feel it.
They vote. Essentially, they come to the agreement. Okay, we're going to send Riddler to Sophia to basically kind of please the big boss and kind of get everyone off our backs here. That's always kind of where we go to with Barbara and Tout. They just want to kind of be left to their own devices. Like, let's avoid, like, we're our own mini kind of boss here. Like, we don't want to be micromanaged.
All I want is to go out on the town with my good friends Babs and Tabs without any interruptions, but they keep getting pulled into side quests, and it's just very annoying.
Oh, Selena, you look so cute hanging out with Bruce in his little black coat.
Oh
Look at
my
him.
god.
Adorable. Selena, go to the prom with him.
Oh my god. Anyways.
Okay, anyway, so Zaz and the headhunter, they tell Sophia that Mr. Penn. They basically tell him the Mr. Penn news.
Mm.
And basically Sophia says, okay, kill them both. Kill Penguin and Mr. Penn. Okay, so now we see that we see where Lee has taken the Penguin. So they're running out of options. So they're going with the ice block plan, which of course leads them to Mr. Freeze. And I always love when Nathan Darrows shows up. And I think where we're going with Mr. Freeze. And again, it's we had Mr. Freeze in Gotham had a really great introduction. He did a really great too.
He really did, yeah.
And we just kind of the problem is we just kind of lingers. And what I think we're doing with him, this is the only. We'll see how it goes further, but I think the direction we're heading in, I mean, unless there's any evidence to the contrary in the next couple episodes, I guess, is that I think we're just showing how do we get to kind of the emotional robot, Mr. Freeze, that we all kind of classically know from Horror Vice. We're seeing a guy who every time we check in with him, he's kind of gone from kind of getting him closer to the man without emotions. We're getting closer and closer to the guy who has nothing to live for, who's just kind of he's almost like a walking zombie. Like my reason for living is gone, yet I cannot die. That's where Mr. Freeze. I think that's where we're kind of going. Like he's losing more and more of his humanity each time we check in with him. I guess that's how it is.
I mean, you're right, Dragon. I think it's a shame. I wish they would use him a little bit more than they do. As of now, it feels like he pops up about once per season. But
I mean, it is fun how we use him when it like freezes people like this. That's fun, though.
Yeah.
It's not much, but it's like, hey, there he is.
I do like the music cue that he gets, the rock and roll cue.
I'm still not crazy. I get why you're like, guys. I'm still personally not crazy about it. This feels like kind of random.
I mean, it kind of amps him up a little bit, like, yeah, Mr. Freeze, he's here.
Yeah, I guess. So I love that we addressed this. So I love that we addressed that he got stiffed in the last job, which makes a lot of sense. I love that we addressed that. Oh yeah, he was promised all this technology and everything from the Penguin, and of course, Penguin getting wrapped up in all this stuff this season. I guess he never paid him. So Mr. Freeze is definitely like not inclined to help him out. And again, Lee playing it very smartly here. She says, "Look, you closed the deal with Sophia. You don't have to worry about closing the deal with him. Don't even put your trust into him. Just close the deal, give us something as like a fail-safe that may or may not work, and you get paid regardless." So what he does is he gives Penguin a time thermal device that should unthaw him. Because again, Freeze has been working for a cure, so I guess he's been maybe looking like something that could like freeze him or like unthaw him. So I guess it's kind of he's been looking to a bunch of stuff. So he's kind of developed like a little thermal device. You activate it, works on a timer, so he'll be thawed out if he is frozen. It's not a guaranteed fix.
Are you ready?
So,
no, I don't care.
And he freezes him. Again, justice. Penguin. No one freezes anyone in Gotham without getting frozen themselves. Okay, so I have a little scene here. We pay off the Bruce and Selena of it all here, where Bruce figures out that Selena wanted Bruce's help, not to, not just to get the item back, not just like that, not just as a monetary bank, so to speak, but really, so she wouldn't have to face the famine. So Bruce could like just kind of give back to employees of his own company. And Bruce, wonderfully, it's always like, I love it when Batman's kind of looking out for Catwoman's humanity, always kind of looking to redeem Catwoman here, where he says, it's classic 60s Batman at its finest, it's like, Catwoman, you can be redeemed, I want to rehabilitate her, that sort of thing. So Batman, in a classic Batman way, Bruce is suggesting that she do it, like he reassures her that, look, you didn't kill him. why don't you, sometimes just apologizing for something, it's enough. It's not everything, but sometimes it's enough.
Yeah, and he knows that if he just returns the thing for her, it's not really going to solve anything in her own mind. So
Exactly. So it's a very smart call by Bruce.
I mean, Dragon, I can see people calling the subplot filler, but I just don't think there's enough screen time there for it to be filler. It's more just kind of like a character examination, a brief little check-in, like, all right, here's where we are in terms of maturity level for Selena, in terms of maturity level for Bruce. Got it. All right, good.
I just like it. It's a short and sweet little side.
That's not really filler. Filler would be like, all right, Bruce and Selena are like running around doing a 20-minute fetch quest that takes up half the episode.
Sure. And again, it's short, sweet, and it's character building, so it's nice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Meanwhile, Riddler's going to the dentist.
Oh God! Oh!
So yeah, I've been wondering when we were going to get to this shot, and we finally did, because they had this in like the big, like, hey, we're returning next, after the mid-season with all these like cryptic shots here, and we finally Riddler with kind of, and I still think we might be doing like a vague Jerome build, because we know he's going to be in, we know he's coming up, he's going to factor in very prominently in the next couple episodes. Riddler's being tortured by the dentist, who was Penguin's guy, who now is working for Sophia again, because we saw Sophia turn this guy. So I think we're paying off that she has the dentist in her pocket, like the torturer who basically can torture you with dental equipment without even removing any teeth.
This guy just creeps me the hell out, Dragon. He really gets under my skin.
Well, yeah. Literally. So yeah, I love what we do with the Riddler here. This is a classic Riddler scene. It just makes me so jazzed about, oh my God, that is so Riddler. That is awesome. Where Riddler, his strength of mind is so great that he's not breaking. The dentist is known for getting torturing information out of people like crazily, and he is not giving away the Penguin. He's not giving him up. And I love this. And this is specifically is the classic Riddler right here, where Riddler, he answers in riddles. Even if he was tortured, he could only he for all we know, he's telling him exactly where he is. But again, he's so supercilious, he's so ego driven. Like he's like, he's mocking Sophia. Like, I'm telling you everything you want. You're just too stupid to put it together. Oh my God, I love that Sophia's not having any of this. Like, she's stabbing him in the leg with anger, but still Riddler's like laughing all the way with that creepy like bloodshot, like, again, very Jerome-esque kind of blood around the smile.
It is very Joker-esque, yeah.
So I mean, I'm digging what we're doing with the Riddler in the scene. It's everything you kind of want in the Riddler right there. It's like, again, he's the guy who he'll tell you what you want in riddles. Like, that's the only thing you're going to get anything out of this super genius that you're torturing, and that's classic. And the scene just keeps getting better from here. So then when the ice block arrives, you see the giant smile on the pained Riddler's face, where it's just like, oh, they're doing my plan. So Freeze is paid, so he's taken care of. So good for Victor Freeze. And the command is Sophia commands her men to take Riddler to the docks. Kill the Riddler, take him to the docks. Basically the pier of doom in Gotham, like the place where we take everyone in Gotham.
So this pays off.
It does, and I'm with you there. And I love another little pleasantry where she kisses Az on the forehead for like, yay, victory. Kisses him on the forehead and tells him like, we're gonna go get Penn.
Oh man.
Speaking of which, so again, Tiki, I love this episode. There's this one bit in the episode that it's not that I don't like it. It's just I'm scratching my head. I don't get it. Frankly, I don't get it. Where Jim and Bullock arrive to get Penn, and we reveal that the spa is, well, I mean, I don't really know the words for it. I'm guessing. I don't think it's basically it's a fetish spa of some sort, and I believe the fetish is.
That's pretty much what it is, Dragon. It's pretty much.
I'm just trying to find the word here because I don't know what the name of the thing is, but I think it's like infantilism, or it's like some basically big babies. You have basically all the
term I've heard is adult babies.
Yeah, it's like adult babies, like an age regression of some sort, like something like that. I don't know. It's like some sort of basically it's fetish.
The jokes about the Rugrats turning him into an adult baby. Anyways,
the point is, we have a really random choice because we know Gotham could be a depraved place. We've seen like a few different.
Honestly, it's like I agree with you. It's a little out of place, but it makes sense for the Gotham that we've created in this show that something like this would exist.
Sure. And again, T, here's how I should say infamous. There is a very infamous episode of CSI, and this is like a whole like the Parents Council, like all the
Oh
censorship
no.
groups. They're really on this episode, and it's called King Baby. Basically, a very prominent mobster in Vegas, whose big secret that he kept till he died. And again, they're looking into his death, so they're figuring out, learn about the guy. He was a mobster who had connections and like things on everyone in the whole city. But his secret was he was into this. Yeah, he was like the big crime kingpin, but he was, he was a
Also
big
on
baby.
Bob's Burgers, Jimmy Pesto is an adult baby.
So that's what I'm saying. This whole like age regression, infant, whatever the big baby thing. It's I'm not, again. It is, from what I understand, it's like it's a real life pull. CSI usually kind of get their fetishes right on that sort of stuff, and again, it is kind of based on like it's an actual thing. It's again it's a thing where you can never. We live in a very PC time, where I'll say this: I don't want if there are any big babies out there, if there are any age regressionists out there, look, I would say it's really hard to communicate that seriously in any show. So that's why I get a sense that if there are any like true blue age regressionists out there, Tiki, I get a sense that they're not going to be happy with this portrayal because they're really writing it off as a joke here. When basically we reveal Mr. Penn, he's all decked out. They have all these very elderly and very like prominent Gotham citizens who are acting like children, and Gordon Bullhead are kind of turning their noses up at it. And they did the same thing in King Baby, where they're looking at it like an oddball thing. I'm sure if there are any real life.
Dragon, let me just say I know more about this subject than you probably expect, just because I took a sexual psychology class in college, and this was kind of one of the things we studied. And but I don't want to come off like I'm an expert on the subject or anything. But let me just say I think you're absolutely right that this would be like an offensive kind of like really, really stereotyped version of the lifestyle that they go through.
That's what I'm saying, but you have to imagine, though, that's a hard thing to really legitimize in anything.
Oh, it absolutely is. Yeah, of course.
So it's kind of a no. I'm just wondering, like, if it's a kind of a no-win situation in PC times, but even
honestly, I think that a show like Bob's Burgers kind of handles it, where it's like Bob's Burgers, it's like Jimmy Pesto's just a regular dude who happens to have the kinky side to him. Yeah. So I think that's about the most tasteful it's been done in modern pop culture, but I digress.
Anyway, just to circle back and just get to the Mr. Penn of it all. That's what I'm saying.
Blame the Rugrats for having a generation of adult babies, by the way, especially with that stew episode.
Well, sure.
Anyway,
I guess just to circle back and just kind of
weird side tangent.
Anyway, just to circle back and kind of punctuate, I guess what I'm saying is it feels for such an important thing. This episode is a big payoff episode. We do pay off a lot of stuff we've been doing this season. It's kind of important, especially where we go in this location eventually, and when we get to the kitchen. And it's a very important episode in that regard. It just feels like a really random choice to pull. It just feels like a really forced gag to kind of enforce here. It just feels like, why are we doing this? Like, is there any point?
I mean, you're right, and it goes by so fast, and it's so random, and it's so odd.
That's what I'm saying. They could have done anything. And again, if this is like in a different episode, if they want to make like a one-off gag or something, I get it. So why do it here and now? It's such an important episone.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so the point is, they have Penn, and they're. Honestly, the only rationale I have, and this is the only because it's so random. I raise my eyebrows at it. But the only thing I could possibly gauge from in terms of a plot relevance thing, Tiki, is that we're just being prepared for Jerome's craziness that is coming. That is the only thing I can take away. Like you're seeing something that is really bizarre. So like when we see stuff that is truly even more dark and bizarre, we're gonna at least be kind of primed for it somewhat.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so they have Penn. Meanwhile, Penguin is free, and this is the animalistic Penguin I'm talking about. Here's like the Dan DeVito Penguin. So basically, the thermal device activates. He's broken out of the ice, and he sneaks up on the dentist, and he interrogates him. He's so animalistic. I love how hunched over and coated in ice and savage he is in this scene.
And then I like how it's like we make a joke out of like the dentist, like, you two, huh? Why am I not surprised?
That's great. He's just losing his cool here. It's just so let's see. So he learns where Penn is. He calls Lee with the location, and then he sees the hat, and he gets really incensed. And this is beautiful. I love how this pays off too, where he learns of the Riddler's loyalty. Like, I tried. He wouldn't say anything about you. They're taking him to the docks to kill him. Where? No, where? At the docks. So that's great.
Mm.
Okay, so Penn, we come back, and Penn reveals that He worked for Falcone for many years, and he was sent by Falcone to spy on Sophia, and essentially Sophia caught him. He was discovered by Sophia, and what he did is he agreed to spy on the Penguin for Sophia. So, oh yeah, that's pretty much it.
Pretty much.
Yeah, basically spy on the Penguin. Basically, he's a trooper.
Kind of like a really, like, he is the MacGuffin that, he's the thing that everyone's talking about, but he kind of becomes pretty inconsequential by the end of things.
Just the big takeaway is that he knows about all the pig stuff, which is why they need him. They need him because he's the connection that he spied on everybody, says all the information about the pig and all that business. Basically has the leverage on Sophia, so they need Penn alive.
Uh-huh.
So before
becomes a headhunter.
Yeah, so before they take him in as a witness, it's not just the headhunter, it's everybody. It's Sophia the headhunter.
Right. Yeah.
Sophia the headhunter and Victor Zsasz, and chaos ensues. And I love this. Like, my God, and like right off the bat, like you're right. The headhunter has his like little laser sight on Jim. He shoves him out of the way. Jim takes a shot right in the side. So Jim takes a lot of punishment in this episode.
Yeah.
So Jim shot, and that's kind of like the big dramatic. And I cut to commercial, and they cut back, and Jim and Bullock they kind of decide to split up. Basically Bullock is charged of getting Penn out of there, and again Bullock doesn't want to leave Jim because Jim's shot in the side, and you need to get to a hospital. I have no time, just we'll split up. I'm gonna stall till backup gets here. That's the plan. Is to stall, hopefully not get killed, and just kind of wait till backup gets there, and we have the Penn in custody, so we just can come clean, bring her down, the whole thing will work out like gangbusters. That's his hope.
Mm-hmm.
A very brave and dangerous. Basically, it's a very brave and dangerous play, drawing Sophia's fire like this. What he's planning on doing here, of course, very heroically. That's an order, as the captain of the GCP. Yeah, that's an order. So Jim clears a path for him. Basically, he's shooting. He's taking out a bunch of guys. He took out a lot of them, very, very well. He takes out a lot of them. We go to the kitchen. He ducks to the kitchen. This is a nice bit I call in the real
shot to the shoulder.
He does. I love this though. I love that he told everyone to evacuate. As he's running through, it's a nice little bit like he tells everyone get out of here now. He's evacuating.
There's raptors in here.
Raptors with guns. They're raptors with guns. Little feet guns.
All right. I'm just really excited for Ready Player One.
Anyway. So let's see. So that's nice. So he's doing well. He's doing well until he's in the kitchen alone, and we reveal a very vengeful. And this is the big climax of the episode, folks.
This is where Sophia Falcone becomes Long Halloween Sophia Falcone.
And I love it. I love this scene. Writing-wise, I love how this scene communicates. I'm going to break this down in a moment. So she arrives, and she guns him down, very slow and painful. And this is the bit I really love here, where Jim, he takes another bullet. So essentially, throughout the course of this, Jim takes 4 bullets, by the way. He takes 4 bullets. So against the slow and painful route. And I love the bit where after he takes that second bullet to the shoulder, he tries to fire back, and he's out of ammo. And he's in trouble. So now he's just kind of running for his life in there. Lee arrives, Bullock, and it kind of feels very vaguely Kindergarten Cop-esque. Remember in Kindergarten Cop where he's like running around the school at the end, and he's kind of taking a bunch of shots, and as like his partner's like hopefully going to make it to save the day.
yeah, kind
very of. Kindergarten Cop-esque, honestly. So Lee arrives. Bullock tells her,
Donald Logue being the new Kindergarten Cop.
God. So Bullock takes the car, and he tells Lee that Jim's hurt, so she should get in there and help him out. I'll remember this bit, Tiki. Who gives chase to Bullock making it his exit here is a really funny Zsasz bit.
Well, Zsasz, he can't catch a break. So you know what he wants to do, Dragon?
What does he want to do, Tiki?
He wants to make like Daniel Plainview and go get himself a milkshake.
I just love the idea, and I just love how gun-ho that the headhunter is. I would have loved if they had a scene where saying, "Yeah," if only they could have had like ADR'd that line from like, "Yeah." So basically, they're running off, and I'm just imagining the two
ADR'd headhunter saying like, "I'll drink your milkshake."
That wouldn't have made any sense.
I know.
I just love the idea of Zsasz and the headhunter like in full costumes, getting just going to a place and getting them a milkshake.
Like waiting in line, like that'll be 5 minutes, sir. All right, checking his phone, maybe try and catch a Pikachu on Pokemon Go while he waits for his milkshake.
Hey Zsasz, why don't you ever wear short sleeves? God. Something like that. So,
wow, that was a tangent.
anyway.
I think that's my first Pokemon Go reference I've ever made on the podcast.
Anyway.
Capacity.
Okay, so onto the heavy stuff here. Is the big old scary long Halloween. Sure. So I love all this here. So Jim, basically what we do in this scene is that Jim is facing the punishment for Sophia Falcone for, as he's trying to load his gun and kind of trying to get a shot off again, she shoots him yet again. So he's on his back, and we have and I really specified this shot because I really think this is the heart of the episode. Here's one of the best parts of the episode where the big crux of Jim Gordon's side of the season. Honestly, Jim Gordon's story from the beginning of Gotham to this point is really brought home in this moment and the aftermath. So this is a huge scene for Jim Gordon, where Jim essentially is being punished for his corrupt act. It's basically, this is Jim's corrupt act personified by the agent of his own corruption, Sophia Falcone. So she is his form of punishment for the stuff that he's done. And again, I love her asking, would it have been so bad to kind of lose a piece of yourself, like bit by bit, instead of like all at once like this? You like basically, she's chastising Jim for going full kamikaze on their arrangement. Like, why do you got to bring us both down like this? Why couldn't you bent the rules? Why can't you just accept that? Because Jim's pride is like, he can't give into it. Jim will try to do the right thing, and I love that we're still adhering to the Gordon philosophy there. He wants to do things the right way, even if it's like going to punish him for bending the rule in a fundamental way.
Mm-hmm.
So again, because he refused to be basically blackmailed by her well played revenge plot, so she gives Jim a last chance. Basically for redemption. I read it as she's trying to get redemption for killing her father. I mean, I'm reading into that, but I got a sense of the two men who invested in Sophia were Carmine Falcone and Jim Gordon. Jim Gordon gave her a chance and brought her here when her father said no. So I think a part of her is still grateful for Jim for that opportunity. And I think in this moment, basically her father let her down, so she killed her father, as she says, because he disappointed me. She wants Jim to kind of come around, like, don't disappoint me too on this. Why just accept this path?
And that's the long Halloween of it all coming out, just the ruthless mobster in her.
Yeah, and again, Jim, he's taken with 4 bullet wounds. She says this isn't about the GCPD. It's about it's BS. It's because it's because your pride. Tell me that all this. I never asked for anything that my father didn't acquire within 30 years in Gotham. And again, he points it out. And we have the fundamental flaw with Sophia's way she's operating in Gotham versus her father in this scene, where the father that you killed. And again, it's the fact that she's overcompensating in her approach on Gotham. She's getting more violent. Basically, she's doing the stuff that Falcone did behind closed doors, and where you'd question, did he do it? And if he did it, did he do it for like the right reasons? Where in this case, she's doing really clear cut. I'm just doing all the stuff I knew my father did.
Mm-hmm.
So she offers him a second chance. He says, "Go to hell." Bam. And again, she has that line, Jim Gordon, this is where our story ends. And bang, we reveal she's been shot by Lee.
Twice, once in the stomach, once in the head.
I know, it's important. You're right.
In the head.
Okay, before we get to what happens with that, let's address the scene, how it plays. So she's shot and then she's shot in the head, and we have this great chilling bit, Tiki, and this is where it all comes forward. Basically we visualize Jim
face to face with her dead body.
I love that. Again, I love how we're visualizing Jim Gordon's sin this season, like the big mistake that he made. Sure. And I love that. Again, we're not letting him off scot-free for this.
I feel like this is a more well-done version of what Season 2 was trying to do with the Gordon arc, and Season 2 was good to a certain extent with that, but this is like the more fully realized version of that ambition.
I think you're absolutely right, Tiki. And again, you're right in that they do it better here, but I guess what we have, just what we're settled with here is that
just kind of the weird outlier of the whole series, isn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of like a Legend of Korra that way, it's like Season 2. Season 2 Legend of Korra is infamous for it's not bad, but it's definitely like it has the people gripe about it the most.
Mm-hmm.
So the point is, what I'm getting at was, but you can still glean from Season 2, because again, that was like the first time it really hit you that, oh my god, Jim Gordon he's kind of in the darkness here, basically
right.
What we're doing with that is that I think we're showing baby steps in how easy it is, and how basically those baby steps to get to this moment. I think that's what you glean from season 2, and you see kind of like the big fundamental flaw he made at the beginning of this season. He's really paying for that, as well as all of it, like all the stuff of, like, again, this really brings the whole series in the context of like where Jim started the show and where he's kind of ending the show. I'm going to go to like the final place we're going to go with him when we get to the aftermath. But again, it's that visual image of his like looking in the face of Sophia, someone that he's been intimate with, someone that he literally got in bed with corruption. And he's just in a very kind of intimate pose. He's kind of looking at her straight in the face, and just, you know, with a bloody bullet wound in her. I know, we'll get to it, Tiki. With a bloody bullet wound in her head, just looking at him.
Yep.
It is a creepy, eerie image, and again, one that summarizes Jim's story so well this season. And the whole like tease, like, oh my god, Jim Gordon's gonna become captain, but it's gonna be a really dark story. And now you get what they meant by it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Leah, she's saving Jim's life. Meanwhile, we cut to another excellent scene, the pier.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
This is another...
We all knew this was happening. We all knew this was coming, that, that Penguin would save the day in the end. But it's just played so satisfyingly. It's very cathartic.
I love that Riddler does have like a good final last words moment where he's...
The real torture is these idiotic words that you guys are making me listen to.
That's great. That's again classic. Again, they nailed the Riddler. That's how he sounds. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So then, again, folks, we're in the same location. It's not necessarily. It's close to the pier. Where here's the thing. It's always the same location, but we have two spots of it. The docks is specifically where Penguin never come back to Gotham again, and this location here is like kind of the execution. Like this is the surprise return shot.
Right.
It's all in that port of Gotham. It's all along the same area. It's Penguin's all bad, prolific, full circle scenes happen in this place. So Penguin saves the Riddler.
Gotham's just built that way to be cinematic. Like this location is the redemption location. This location is the bad, ominous location.
And seriously, again, that's where the big moment that kicks off the entire series happens in this spot. And again, we seemingly killed the Penguin, and we brought him back here. Ivy, she's left the city, she's come back here. It's a very important location. Riddler was frozen here. So so Penguin saves the Riddler, and he saved Riddler over his revenge. And I love how Riddler puts that into context, saying, "You gave up your revenge for me." And what is the headline?
I don't think I have it word for word. No,
well,
sorry.
Essentially, again, Robin Lord. This scene is beautiful. It's beautifully played between these.
Oh
two
wait, no, I'm sorry. I have the line.
Well, let me prime it for you.
Yeah,
so this scene is beautifully played by Lord Taylor and Corey Michael Smith. So played so well. I love that in the music we use the thing that united their friendship in the first place. We use the song that Oswald's mother sang, Mrs. Kabupat, sang to him, and we use the song in the score here, and we add this great twinge when the big kind of like, is he going to go for it moment happens. So as the scene go to you.
I have a strong desire to never, ever see this pier again.
I meant the trust is hard to find in Gotham, but...
Oh, I'm sorry. I really like that line from Nigma, so my bad.
Yeah, you're right, though. That is a perfect line, though. It's
just the perfect response. It's like he's reluctant to go along with it, but at the same time, he's like, well, all right, let's make this work.
Yeah, and again, I love that show. Like, again, Penguin, he's been backstabbed and betrayed so many times in the show. And again, like, these two guys have been each other's throats. And I love at the end of the day, Penguin can't help himself but want to trust the Riddler. Again, that friendship they forged and the music they're kind of using to reminisce about that is showing that, again, trust is hard to find in Gotham, but at the end of the day, he trusts Enigma, he trusts the Riddler, and Penguin puts his gun away first. And you notice, again, Riddler has his gun out. He could shoot him like he did last season, the last mid-season finale from season 3. Again, he could easily shoot him there and kind of get his revenge and kind of put an end to it. But again, that's when the music kind of turns from that din, like the music kind of has that weird twinge. Like, is he going to go for it? And he puts it back, and then like, okay, they're in full force. They're partners again. They're standing side by side, and then Enigma utters that line: "I have a strongest desire to never ever see this pier again." Oh yeah, and he's again a little bit Penguin's like, oh, I'm in such agreement with you on that. Like, because nothing but bad stuff happens to us at this pier. Let's never come back here again.
All right. So let's see. So Jim wakes up to find Bullock at his bedside.
He finds out that Lee saved his life, and
And also that Sophia is in a coma. Are you fucking kidding me? She was shot in the head.
Okay, now let me say this. All right, I'm with you. It's a really hard buy, but two things. Just
The
two
thing
things.
that I hate about it, Dragon, is that it just completely undermines all the great character stuff we've had with Gordon. How dare they? How dare? All right, I'm just channeling nostalgia critic at this point.
Okay, two things. I will give this two things. First off, we did it with Butch. Literally, he shot in the head in a coma.
You know what? At this point, I just death just doesn't matter. Death is just a moot point in this show. That's kind of where they've taken it.
It's funny though. They keep. I think.
I mean, I'm never going to be sad about any character dying ever again in this show. I mean, that's just, you know.
It is funny, you know. They have like a loophole built into their statement that, oh yeah, we're not going to bring people back as often as we used to. What they're doing now, instead of bringing people back, is they're not really
they're just like making it look like they died, but then not actually killing them off.
And that's the thing. I think that's their loophole in it all. Tiki, like, no, we're not going to bring people back. We're just not going to actually kill them.
Oh, it's ridiculous, Dragon.
It's like it's like a more bloody version of what the animated, like what you have like an animated broadcast standards and practice thing. You can't kill anybody, so basically shoot them, maim them, whatever you want. Just make sure people know they're alive.
Just don't show the body. Whatever you do, don't show the body.
Okay, but here's the second thing, though. And this is the actual. There's the reason I would say don't be entirely. Like, I'd cut it. I can give it a second
thought. Don't get me wrong. I'm not upset that Sophia Falcone is alive. She's like just hit her prime in the show. You know, I'm not like, oh, it's too bad we have to suffer through Sophia Falcone. You know, like no, I'm happy that we get more of her. It's just it. Did we really have to shoot her in the head, Dragon? That's the sticking point with me.
I'll say here's what I want to say is that again, not Long Halloween, but the way Long Halloween ends and in the sequel. I mentioned this before, and we homaged this before. When she was at the funeral and like the neck brace and everything, like Sophia, she survived that fall, and the idea is she's hard to kill. I think that's what they're communicating with the coma idea. So I don't know. I can only assume. I don't know for certain. I can only assume that we're getting these moments where, like, okay, we're bringing the headhunter back. You know, Grundy survived being shot in the head as a zombie. We're doing all this sort of stuff to maybe buy something like this. So
no, you're right. You're right. I could see that being definitely kind of stepping stones in that direction.
And again, it's like the idea of like she's like in the sequel to Long Halloween. Again, she was like, you know, like a big old neck brace and everything. Like she was basically put beyond suspicion because she was so mangled in a wheelchair, and that's the idea. Like she could seemingly be killed and come back, basically being like basically clinging to life, the mob element in Gotham, and that's what this episode's really about. Also, it's Sophia's side of things is that we see her went from the most confident, in control mobster in Gotham to like she's just kind of clinging to life at this point. And going forward, what I think they're doing is that kind of like in The Dark Knight, the mob is kind of like they're clinging to scraps, and like she's like a clinging remembrance of the mob when we're going to the super criminal going forward in the next arc of all the episodes and all the 7 episodes we have left this season. We'll see where it goes. Anyway, so the Jim Gordon side of this here. So Jim plans on confessing, and this kind of rises reminiscent, by the way, this whole scene.
Right.
Jim in the hospital bed making this very similar promise. Jim plans on confessing.
This is definitely just like dark. It's got end of Dark Knight, beginning of Dark Knight Rises all over the place, honestly.
But again, I really like how, just in the context of the whole series, I really like what this did.
Oh, I agree.
Where Jim plans on confessing, which again is the right thing to do, and Bullock, again, who basically said, you know, you're going to confess, you're going to pay for this. And importantly, he said you're going to pay for this. He never said confess, and this is what I think it's important, where Bullock educates
Bullock
Jim.
Basically gives him the Tom Hanks, you have to earn it moment.
Essentially, yes. And what's great is that Bullock educates Jim in the compromise here.
And this is such a great kind of like full circle thing for the two of them. You know, both their arcs kind of feel more rounded out now.
And again, Tiki, this entirely goes, you're absolutely right. This goes so full circle to that first episode where he says, you're a nice guy, Jim, and nice guy, and Gotham isn't a place for nice guys. You can't stay good in Gotham long, essentially. That's what he said. Basically, this was inevitability where, again, Jim, who was the polar opposite of Bullock in that first episode, now gets what Bullock was saying. And basically, like, Bullock used to be a top cop too, who became corrupted and became a guy who had to live with a lot of bad stuff, who was fundamentally good, but he had to live with some compromises. And now Jim has become the season 1 Bullock.
Hmm.
where Jim basically he says, no, if you confess, you'll be a martyr. The GCPD will lose its hero, and you'll feel terrible, but you'll be able to sleep at
So
night.
essentially, they're pulling a Harvey Dent without Harvey Dent actually dying.
And again, when it says, you're going to have to live with it like I do. And again, that's the full circle quality right there, paying your debt. And of course, so Sophia wins. It's what the city needs. And again, doing something for the benefit of the
But
city,
not
which
what
is.
the city deserves right now. I'm sorry, I couldn't resist.
But yeah, exactly. It is
You
that,
got to
though.
admit the show set itself up for that.
So, but yeah, I mean, it is very kind of Dark Knight esque in that way. And I like that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
So here's what I love about it, just as the last thing I'd say about the scene itself, is I love the bittersweet arc for Jim Gordon in the course of the series here. That Jim Gordon, from the very beginning, they've said this, and they've definitely kind of we finally have seen, it's kind of like the Bates Motel of it all. Like, okay, of course, Norma Bates, she's not fated to stick around in Psycho.
Right, right.
So here, what we have is this is a show where it's a show where at the end we're gonna have Batman. At the very end, we're gonna have Batman, and how do we get Batman? The Law and Order has to fail in Gotham. So it's a bittersweet arc of where we finally see it enact itself. Where we knew from the beginning, Jim Gordon is destined to fail. It's a tragic hero's arc for Jim Gordon in this whole series, like Greek tragedy. Gordon is destined to fail. Like every season, things in Gotham will get progressively worse and worse and worse, and basically he's fallen into darkness completely here. Yet where we're at with him at the very end in this scene, I think the scene accomplished so well, Tiki, is that he's fallen into darkness and despair, but he is still like with Bullock in this scene. I think Bullock really communicates this. They're maintaining that hope of like we're still going to do good things. We just won't be able to sleep at night.
Yeah, like you like to say at the outro, Dragon, there will be light. There will be light.
Exactly, and that little promise, and that little promise of there will be light. That's like saying a Batman will be coming.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, so then we have our ending. We have our two-part ending. First with Lee.
What's up? Yeah, hold on.
So oh yeah, so anyway, so Lee reclaims the Narrows. She reclaims the Narrows.
Uh-huh.
And I love this. I love that before we see Lee, we see Samson getting pummeled by the people of the Narrows. So I like that even if Lee wasn't there, I love they all revolted against Samson. Now there was no kind of Sophia like looming over their heads. Now they all turned on Samson, and Lee kind of puts the nail in his coffin. No pun intended.
God, you want me to put the hammer down?
Yeah, so she gets revenge for her hand. On both of Samson's hands, so she brings so it punishes Samson from a full view, and we end on fire. Good song choice. As
Again, Dragon, I'm sorry. It's just I feel bad for Babs here. It's like the acting. It's Aaron Richards is really selling the migraine.
she is, and this is important. And we knew this. They seeded this, and we finally paid this off. And again, it's paying off at an odd part here, where Babs is losing it, and we pay off the glowing hand that Raish gave her. Like he gave her a gift, and her hand was glowing, and we never knew what they're going to pay that off. And now the migraines, and she's definitely having kind of a magical kind of like thing going on here. And what does she see walking through the Sirens Club?
Well, she sees none other than our good friend Ra's al Ghul.
Yes, good old Ra's al Ghul to set the disco music.
Kind of ridiculous, but you know what? It's Gotham. We're gonna go with it.
I'm just saying it's kind of cool seeing Ra's to that music enter the story.
It's kind of Purple Man-esque in a way.
It is kind of, yeah. So yeah, that's the end of the episode.
All right, so Dragon, for the first time in like almost a month, we can actually speculate.
Finally, my God, we have a lot to speculate on. So let's let's start with the promo.
Yeah, well, okay, go ahead.
And here's what we see in the promo. We see Jerome leading a breakout from Arkham, and he's definitely put together his band of crazies as promised, and we're going to have some returning villains.
Get more Jerome, because I was kind of starting to wonder if it was going to be like a one-episode deal with him this season.
No, we're getting more than 3 episodes with him, Tiki.
What?
We're getting more than 3 episodes with him, Tiki.
Ooh, okay, nice.
They're definitely using a lot of Jerome this season, which is very exciting.
Just been kind of taking a couple weeks off.
So let's see. So with his band of crazies, we're going to have the return of the Mad Hatter and Scarecrow.
Okay.
Let's see. Barbara has the glowing hand, and here's like a little scene with Raish. It's a question if Raish is there's a question if Raish is going to be in her head or if he's going to be coming back. So there's a question of how that's going to work.
Right, right.
Let's see. So also we have this really exciting kind of last kind of cliffhanger bit of the promo where Bruce and Selena are in a diner with Jerome, and Selena's holding a gun on Jerome, and he's like teasing, "Oh, I know her. She's not going to shoot me." And then of course there's like, "Well, is she?" Okay, so on the speculation, we have a bunch of episode titles. My God, do we have episode titles, folks? We have episode. How much, Tiki, should we spoil what the last 2 episode titles are?
Yeah, do you want to build up to that though?
Not sure if we're going to build up to it. I'm just saying, should we, just so I know?
Yeah, I think we should. I think
okay, so the next episode, which is going to be directed by Ben McKenzie, and those are good episodes, when he directs.
Good, yeah.
We have One of My 3 Soups. That's what it's called. And so Ben McKenzie's directing that, and
kill a man for a soup.
Well, I'd love that. I don't know if anyone else would, but I think...
Well, I know Captain Logan would also love it.
Sure. So I'm speculating one of the 3 soups in question. It's going to be one of 2 things. It could be, most likely, it's going to be Bruce, Selena, and Jerome, and in the diner, hence the soup of it all. Like, I think that's what that's alluding to. But it could be 3 soups being 3 villains, as in Jerome, Mad Hatter, and Scarecrow. Those could be the 3 soups in question.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mean like they're going to name soup after them. I just mean like, it's like a joke that involves those 3 being referred to by Jerome probably as soups.
Right.
Anyway, so then we have, again, more food. Mandatory brunch.
God.
Well, sorry, mandatory brunch meeting.
Brunch meeting.
Yes.
Which,
I know...
probably, if I'm willing to guess, that's probably going to go more into the mob side of things, like the Lee versus Sophia rivalry.
I think there's a chance of that, but I can tell you what I really hope it is, Teak. Because we are going kind of modern with some of our Batman references this season, but I really hope they're kind of, because we've done some Scott Snyder here and there. I'm really hoping they pull from Tom King. And Tom King, what he did is he kind of flashed back to kind of that year 1 time in Gotham again, where it was basically right after year 1, and it was, well, again, look, just to get the semantics that way, there was Scott Snyder did Zero Year, which essentially was a remake of year 1, which was good. And Tom King, what he did is he did a whole story that flashed back to right after that story, where, he's in the bat suit and everything, and it's still early, like it's like the Joker, it's like the first Joker story in the Scott Snyder continuity, essentially, where basically it's the war of jokes and riddles. It's a really good story where basically it's the Joker at war with the Riddler. Now, I'm not saying we're necessarily doing that, but what I think it's going to be is, there was a famous issue of that story. It's really great, where they have a meeting where they have a dinner date at Wayne Manor, where Joker and Riddler sit down. They have like a little meeting set to like a 9-course meal or something, like a various course meal. It's really well framed. It's like an intellectual conversation. What I think we're going to do is, because we had the scene with Jerome and Penguin and Arkham, I think Jerome and Penguin are going to they're going to have the mandatory brunch.
Okay.
Anyway. So I'm hoping, again, Tom King, the point is, if you're Tom King, that means like that's kind of a direction you'd want to hit if they can manage that.
Episode 18 is That's Entertainment, which I'm assuming is probably going to be Jerome centric.
Yeah, I'm assuming that's the big Jerome enacting his plan episode. That's the big melting point of, okay, now we're gonna plunge Gotham into madness. Like, we're gonna make everything go crazy. That's this whatever Jerome's real plan is. I think it's gonna be enacted in That's Entertainment.
Let's see. That episode 19 is To Our Deaths and Beyond.
Oh, we have new episodes. I didn't know about these 2.
Yeah. Well,
okay,
we just have episode 19 is To Our Deaths and Beyond, and then the last 2 that we know about.
All right, well, let's see. Well, initially I speculated that 19 and 20 were going to be like a 2-part episode where we're going to have Ivy's return. We're going to do something with Ivy for those 2 episodes.
Yeah, that's right. Ivy is kind of considerably taking some time out.
Well, whatever it is, I just guessed that we'd have like a little something, like a calm before the big storm of like the last 2 episodes. So I figure like 19, 20 would be a wrap-up on Ivy.
Okay. I mean, I don't know. I kind of think that's a little bit of a pacing issue there with Ivy, though, honestly. But yeah, that's neither here nor there.
I'm saying she's not taking over the whole like back half, it would seem. So I'm saying.
No, you're right about that. But at the same time, I feel like she just kind of is falling off a cliff.
Anyway. Well, we'll see. Anyway, so again, now here's the really exciting thing, folks. Here's the thing I'm jazzed out of my mind for, and is what I'm so excited about this season. So we learned that episode 21 is called One Bad Day.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
And of course, folks, and this has been confirmed, it's definitely a lot of reference to Killing Joke in One Bad Day. So I think this episode, just simply, I think this episode is going to be the big. I think we're going to finally answer the whole, like, how does Jerome get us to Joker? Like, we're going to finally kind of answer however they're going to approach that. Like, if Jerome is just going to be full-fledged Joker, if they're going to, like, have another, they're going to, like, do something that I can't even speculate on. Of, like, how we're going to get, like, the proto-Jokers. Basically, I think we're going to do the big ending to Jerome, to Joker in that episode. That's what I think we're going to do. With an episode title like that, we got to. So then we have, sorry, do you have anything to add on Bad Day? I'm good. So then episode 22, and that's the huge one, folks. The one out of everything, even as much as I'm psyched for One Bad Day, is the big one.
No Man's Land.
Now, this is a huge Batman story. The earthquake that...
called this, too.
Who called this?
Well, I mean, I called Arkham City, so I was, like, kind of...
Well, you were close. Yeah, you're right. If it did Arkham City, then you're right. Yeah. Actually, essentially, yeah. Well, I'll tell you this, the Arkham City, but I'm going to bet you this. I'm going to bet you No Man's Land. I think Jerome's going to, or Joker, again, depending how far they get in the previous episode. Let's just say I think he's going to win at the end of the season. I think he's going to win in turning Gotham into a no man's land of, like, basically he wants to turn the outside world into an asylum, which essentially is Arkham City, what you're throwing out there. And I think that Arkham City essentially will be referred to as no man's land, as it traditionally is in the comics, where it's just all madness. Gotham is in the worst state. I imagine how fantastic this would be as a season ender, Tiki. Gotham in shambles, worse than it's ever.
It would be a better version of the season 2 finale.
I think you mean season 3, Tiki.
The bus.
Oh, well, wait.
The bus filled with crazy people, the monsters.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. Sorry. Yeah, you're right. Season 2.
You see, it was so forgettable and went nowhere.
No. I mean, I thought you were referring to, like, literally all, like, the plague that, the whole the Alice Tetch virus.
I'm really talking about, like, oh crap, now there's a whole busload of monsters in Gotham. What are we gonna do? Oh wait, they're gonna last all of 2 episodes.
Okay, but seriously, No Man's Land is a story where basically, Gotham is kind of rocked and brought to a very kind of, like, it's a very the criminals have run of Gotham and they've sectioned things off. It's like it's an apocalyptic zone in Gotham where everyone's like, an EMP is gone, like an EMP bomb has gone off essentially, where basically everyone is, it's like war in Gotham essentially. That's what No Man's Land is. That's a huge story. And what I think we're going to do, my big theory with No Man's Land, is it'd be an exciting way to end the season where basically we get us to, yes, I know it's like doing a Batman story before we have Batman, but here's what we can, like, kind of change it up and make it something kind of cool. Where if the show is at the promise of we're going to make Gotham progressively worse to the point where it needs a Batman, how appropriate would it be if we ended the season on a place where, okay, Bruce is on the right path, and we really need him in season 5 to learn what to become Batman, to save Gotham from No Man's Land.
Honestly, Dragon, that to me is the perfect point where you're just like, all right, cancel the series after season 5, because that's
end it, not cancel.
What?
We'll end it, not cancel it too.
Well, I'm just saying, like, I've been preaching this for a while now. I think the sooner that we get an end date on Gotham, the better for storytelling purposes.
But yeah, and in the story capacity, wouldn't that be the perfect place to end it? Where, again, like, we end, like,
final season too, yeah.
Like season 5, it is No Man's Land, but we start at the end of
Gotham needs the Bruce Wayne.
Yeah,
for sure.
I mean, that's what I'm pulling for at the end of the season. If they do that, if they pull that off, I'm gonna be blown away by that. I'm so psyched for this season with these next episodes. I'm really excited.
I don't know if they play their cards right. I definitely see season 4 as probably the best season so far overall. If we get the same level of quality.
Tiki, if they can pull off half the stuff they're promising with these episode titles, just with the episode titles alone, with, like, again, particularly One Bad Day and No Man's Land, I think this would easily be the best season so far.
Yeah, I just think what we've got so far, it's like, we haven't really had any clunkers. We had the episode, the mid-season premiere was a little bit of a misfire, but that's really the only episode that we can even point to as being, like, even somewhat, like, really in the can, Yeah,
and it wasn't bad. It was just boring, the return from the mid-season.
And it was also just kind of the marketing kind of played
in
that too. Yeah.
Anyway. So I mean, yeah, it's I'm with you there. So far, season 4 has delivered big, and we've been doing pretty well with it.
Yeah, in terms of Spec Dragon, I haven't really had much time to speculate myself, so I'm just hoping for I'm hoping for a good resolution and payoff to Sophia. I'm hoping that she's just kept alive for a reason, and it's not just like, hey, we like the actress. I hope that there's a good plot reason for it. And as you said, I definitely think you summed it up where, we definitely need to end the season with Gotham needing a Batman, with all those pieces kind of needing to be in place. And I think we're on a good track to get there.
Okay, so I guess we'll end it there.
What?
Okay, so we're good. We're going to end it there?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So remember, kids, however dark and scary the world might be right now, there will be light. There will be light.
Until next time, when we go exploring Gotham yet again.
Let's get a milkshake.
I'll take the strawberry milkshake, please.